The Pod Squad.
The Pod Squad.
The Pod Squad.
The Pod Squad. It's the Pod Squad.
It's recording now, right?
It's recording.
We're recording.
We're recording, yes. We are back at
Casa de Victor.
Casa de Victor.
That's the Cavazos.
Casa Cavazos.
I'm wearing my shirt today.
I forgot to do that again. I forgot to wear mine.
I wore this one for a reason.
You didn't.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody's in black now. Last time, everybody
crew
this year
shirt.
was in black.
Oh, there you go.
This time, everybody put these. Hope everybody's having a nice summer break. Trying to stay out of the sun. It's like I think it was crazy outside. So let everybody see the heating. Well, yeah. Well, welcome back.
Welcome. Hola.
I'm Belinda.
Ah, yeah.
To my
Yes, you are.
to my right is.
I'm Mike. How are you?
To my left is.
Which one?
Immediate left.
Your other left. Your other left.
Jose, and then far left.
The host. I'm Victor. Hey.
And yeah, we're back again. Did Susan get on?
Is she?
I think she's on. I'm gonna have to go let her in.
Louder.
Finally. Yeah, so and that is Susan. We were just introducing ourselves, Susan. So you jumped in right on time.
Time, wasn't it like a 5 or something?
I was here at 5. Don't look at me.
I made it within the Mexican hour, so.
So yeah, hope everybody's doing okay. You got everybody introduced, right? Yes.
Yes. Oh, Susan. She's going to
And
introduce herself.
Susan, yes. Kitty.
Wow, you got a mic now. I'm in a mic in front.
Yeah, this mic.
Yeah, we have two mics.
Yeah, you can call him Mike. If you want. Avoid the confusion. We can do it work.
How's it going, Susan?
All right.
All right. You made it back in time. I guess we driving like a bear out of hell.
No, not my parents on the way.
Great story.
Bad on the Hill, which is going to be something I want to talk
That,
about.
I was going just about to say that. Okay.
Talk about that later.
Oh,
We're going to bring that up. Because that's our theme for today, bats.
Bats is our theme? I don't think so. Our theme is
Right?
album covers.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
But you can include
Rock,
Bad on the
rock art.
I was trying to trick Susan.
Rock.
No, it
Does
doesn't
it have to be
It
rock?
doesn't have to be rock. I'm sorry.
Scare me.
I
like that.
misspoke again. Album covers.
Album covers.
Art.
Fabio album.
Right.
Not Fabio.
Yeah. With a B.
yeah.
So, did you happen to do any homework, Susan?
I tried.
Right. Oh, okay, good. So you do have something. All right.
Maybe.
Um,
I don't know what way you were going. Again.
Try.
Does anybody want to go first? We're gonna just talk about like our favorite or what we consider like awesome album art.
Awesome, controversial. You can go the whole spectrum. You can go from the best to the worst.
Okay.
We might get some hate emails
Yes,
after I do mine.
Uh-oh.
Hit the mute button.
Well, do you want to go first?
How you guys?
Wait, who went first last time?
I've been going first last 2 weeks. No, I went first last weekend and the week.
Wait, did you go
And the week before that.
I think you did go first.
Did he go first?
Yeah, that's 2 times.
Oh,
Let me go first.
oh, that's right, you did. Yeah, for the artists. Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors.
I'm gonna let somebody else go first because all my stuff is in my laptop and my laptop is way over there.
So you're gonna bring the laptop over here when it's your turn?
No, I'll
It's all gonna be focused on you, the camera, as your.
no.
Are you gonna show it or something?
I will show examples of the
She'll insert the slides
Yeah.
at a later time.
Yeah.
During
so you will be seeing the art. Don't worry. Well, Victor, you want to go?
Sure.
All right, take it away.
Well, okay, so the subject this week was, I don't know if it's necessarily favorite or just cool album covers.
I think
we
Mike
know-
answered that with like from the gamut of everything between most hated and best.
Well, you know, another thing to consider, and I thought about this, but I don't know if it counted, because if you own an album, you also know that if you open it, some of them open, there's more stuff inside. And so I didn't know if we were considering that as well, or just what's on the cover.
First of all, I'm sorry, did anyone bring an album?
Well, do you know what one looks like?
I'm gonna show up.
I think
This is an album.
even if it's not one of the ones that you're going to talk about.
No,
just, like, see
just
what-
so Susan knows what albums actually.
Our
She's so
millennials
young.
Any of our young
Yeah.
viewers out there? The majority of our viewers are young millennials.
She's a
I'm
digit.
sorry, I didn't get to, well, actually, what's it called? Who says wearing one of them, isn't he?
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to have that kind of stuff.
Oh.
Well, yeah, the Iron Maiden, Satanic Panic stuff going on. I don't think that would be.
Satanic Panic.
You've never heard of the Satanic Panic?
Well, I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I didn't know that's what it was called.
Satanic Panic.
Satanic Panic of the 80s.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
the
sorry.
name of my new band.
I know. Right there,
His new band. His new band was called Satanic Panic.
There you
There you
go.
go.
That's a great idea.
Little devils.
I kind of like Skid Mark.
That's one of the singles. That's a single.
They were big in the 80s.
Or Manhole.
Sorry.
Hey, that used to be a thing I used to do.
There's at least
So I had a spiral notebook with just rock, that make it to the rock band. They couldn't do a band. I did that. I wrote it.
Bad hole.
I'm do it one time.
Yes.
I have a list too, but never included anything like that.
Great. You can design that album. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Give me away my $1 million idea.
You want me to design manhole?
The album cover for a live album, we're going to make it as
It's one cover.
No, I don't know. There have been some questionable things on covers, so
Called shock value.
yeah. So
we digress. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm.
go ahead. Give us your list.
Anyway, okay, I can't I'll do that. It's gonna sound like I'm getting serious now. So
serious note.
album. So I did look online, and there was a top 100 albums. I looked at them, and there's some good ones. Then I said, there's a couple that I own, some that I don't own, and you know, everybody likes an album for a particular reason. And then the album cover, Sticky Fingered, of course, everybody talked about that one with the Rolling Stones. And a picture of a guy's pants and the zipper. Supposedly you could open the flap, and there was, you know, there's the Dark Side of the Moon and all these other classic albums. I won't go into too much. I didn't really pick those. The ones that I picked a couple.
I can't.
Bless you.
I picked a couple, and I have CDs, and I'm gonna hold them up, but I will put slides in so you can see them.
Yeah, you want me to hold on top?
Oh, sure. The first one is the one that I like. It's really kind of hard to see because it's almost in the dark. It's called Asia by Steely Dan, and it's just a cool album cover. I like it a lot. It's pretty cool. And Steely Dan I like because they're kind of like a rock fusion jazz kind of band. And I was fortunate enough to see them play live. But this is one of their best albums, and it's one of my favorites.
Oh, can I see something?
Oh, sure. And it's a woman wearing like a shawl, but you almost can't even see her. Just barely see her face. And I'm assuming she would be
I
Asia.
thought maybe that might.
Looks like a stick.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it's I like that album cover. It's minimalist, yes, but it's kind of cool also, and it's a really, really cool album. It's one of the best albums ever. So Asia would be one of the ones that I picked. Now another one comes from the guy who I consider my all-time favorite musician, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and this was his last album before he passed away, unfortunately, in a helicopter accident. And to me, it just reeks of Texas blues, Southern blues. And it's his In-Step album, and basically it's a picture of him taking a knee, wearing a serape and a bolero hat, and you can't even see his face, but you obviously know who it is, and it's just kind of cool, and you kind of, when you think back that, you know, he passed away after this, it's almost kind of poignant, but it's just that he's just looking down, you can't see his face, but I just think it's just cool, you know, and like I said, when I see that, I think Texas blues, the way he's dressed, as, you know, the musician that he is and he was, you know, and that just really, to me, just makes a statement as to kind of guy he was. So those are the two. Now, I don't want to go up too on a tangent because I'll probably end up saying something that somebody else already is going to mention.
So those are your favorites, or those are?
Those are definitely two of my favorites.
Okay.
There's maybe others. I didn't go through all my CDs to look, and like I said, I went online and looked for some. There's one that I probably couldn't show you because it's kind of
R-rated?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
it's R-rated. Yeah, it's a Cars CD, Candio.
Oh yes.
But the
Hey,
artist.
someone put something on the website.
Something.
What?
Of what? Of the cars?
No, but you asked a question. You had quite a few responses to your question that you put
Oh.
online.
Really?
The one about,
We actually got a
the
response.
one about Airplane?
Several. No, about the albums.
But I mean, people actually watch or look at
I
our
think
stuff.
that-
I just want to see that. I'm like, wow. People are actually on the
People are actually
podcast.
watching?
Yeah.
Let's see this.
Okay, well, keep going. I'm sorry.
No,
We'll shut in a
I-
second.
Susan's talking about. Are you sure you're talking about our website? I think Susan has her own website.
No, somebody did one.
I know.
Somebody posted like a picture of a
That's
photo.
Victor. Victor's the one.
Was it
That's
you?
all the cool stuff.
Well, hold on. I posted several things. I posted the one about Airplane, and I asked, "What's your favorite line from the movie?" And several people.
No, you know what?
Yeah,
It was
I don't know if
on
that's what she's talking
the
about.
album. Was it on the
No,
first
I
one?
didn't put anything about albums on my website. Yeah, no, so I don't know what.
You put which album has the best cover art? Or you posted that.
You know what? He didn't post it.
You posted it.
No, he just,
He posted it to us.
he tagged us. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, he tagged us. Yeah,
Oh,
another-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because somebody else
Yeah.
came up with on something on the social media about album covers. I said, oh, let me help all of y'all out by
Oh, okay, so,
I can have something to reference and look at. That's what I was trying to do. That wasn't on our website. That was just on my personal. I was just trying to share things with you.
Dang, you got us all excited.
They're pushing our.
that was us.
That same comments were going viral.
Okay.
Oh, well, okay.
Already sent.
We got excited for nothing. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
We're up to 2 viewers now.
Yeah.
We doubled our viewership.
But
So, oh, you were saying that the cover was a little risque or maybe
yeah, it was a Candio by the
Oh,
Cars,
that's right.
which is by Vargas. He's actually a very well-known artist.
Yes, yeah.
But he would traditionally, most of his art was like naked or half naked women in.
They were like pinups.
Yeah, pinups. Yeah.
But then,
And she's laying on a car, but it's a sketch of a car, but it's a really
edition.
well.
I don't think she was.
She's wearing a see-through thing,
Oh.
and there's not much to the imagination.
Well,
But it's
We're actually
really
like-
well done. It's a very well done work of art if you look at it from an artistic standpoint.
I beg you remember, now I gotta look it up.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm looking at it right now. Official research.
my
This is
standard.
Yes. Yes. And then like I said, I can use. No, I can't use that one because I don't want to
Wait till
offend
you get a load of
anyone.
mine.
Okay. And with that segue, I'll pass it on to Jose, and I might sneak away and grab some of those albums that we're talking about. So just to,
So you can see what now.
Believe me, there's lots of stuff.
Oh my God.
Whoa!
That's bigger than the other list from, what was it?
That's the script of Ben-Hur, I think.
Starting at the beginning of time.
The first
Wow.
one.
Yeah, the first.
So,
Amadeus.
Victrola,
so
Thomas Edison.
the versions, back on PC.
Right. Made records out of
Right
stone.
there you go.
Chiseled.
They were the original Rolling Stones.
He used to use a bird to, as a stylus.
Is that Flintstones?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
All right, so it's really my turn now. Man, I feel like I overdid it now.
Yeah, when I started researching it, I just kept going, wait, I don't remember that one, but I didn't know that. And the thing is, I stopped myself and I said, wait a minute. Put the internet away and remember the ones that stick in your head from when you were growing up. And that's what I tried to stick to.
Yeah.
See, but that's the thing. I mean, I couldn't.
There's so many.
of them.
Yeah.
Well, I talked about one of those last week.
Yeah.
That work of art that was on an album cover that struck me, and I don't want to bring it up again.
Well, I'm going to bring it up in a minute.
Oh.
It's actually
Well,
not
That's
just,
how we got the idea for
it's
this.
not the album cover that I chose, but it's inspired by that old
Ah.
painting that you mentioned.
Okay.
So before anything, I wanted to say that album covers, like, it's kind of a lost art now, right? Because back in the day when we were growing up, album covers were something that people looked at. Sometimes even before you even listened to the music that was inside, you judge the album based on just like what you saw. You saw it, and you're like, oh my God, this looks so cool.
And I'm going to address that when it's my turn. But
So people would buy it, right? And
Yeah.
people would buy it just based on that without actually listening to
it was the whole experience. It wasn't just the music. It was the art. It was what's inside the album, the liner notes, everything that came along with it. That was it. You
Exactly.
listened to the record, but you read that album and
Yeah.
Looked at the art and everything. And I think it's kind of a lost art because nowadays with digital, I think if I listen to an album that's digital, that's new, I've never looked at that on like the album cover or paid attention to it. Anything that's modern. So that's why I say I think it's a lost art. But anyway.
that's not tangible. That's something you can hold in your hand.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So even if it does have any kind of image on the album, I don't even look at it because, like you said, it's not tangible. It's not just stuff.
The other complaint I hear from
Old
older
timers.
folks that you get all your
I'll resemble
tickets,
it, Mark.
you know, you get e-tickets now, sent
Oh,
straight to your
yes.
phone, it'll scan at the gate. You don't get a ticket stub anymore. I think there's actually an app or a company that will make you a ticket stub. or whatever.
I actually got a ticket stub
Did
this
you?
weekend for
Yeah.
the Elvis movie.
But,
Oh.
Yeah, I was like all excited. It's an actual ticket.
An actual ticket
Oh,
stub. That was a collector's item that's not, that's fallen by the wayside, an actual concert ticket stub
Yeah.
along with the album.
I think I've done this before, Rich, where I actually have a ticket stub and I want to see Queen. And I have a real ticket stub, it's all faded, but you can see it, yeah, and you don't make those anymore, that's a shame.
See,
Got a whole bunch
see
of-
thousands and thousands of bands, but that's one of them, man.
Yeah, it's Freddie Mercury, yeah.
You suffered here?
Houston,
In Houston.
yeah. Yeah, Billy Squire opened for him.
Back in the 80s?
Yes.
Right? So Billy Spark is I think it's 70s.
Yeah.
So continue.
So that was my
Back in my day.
you know, back in my day when we were young, kind of thing. And we liked it. You know,
We're still young.
we had asbestos paint and we liked it.
We fell out of back of trucks and we just got right back up.
That's right. We dusted ourselves off. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go through my long Bible notes here. I'll keep it short. Yeah, I'll keep it short. All right, so the first album that I have is a cover to an album from a band called Rage Against the Machine. And it's from their self-titled album, which is their their debut album. So, if you guys know anything about Rage Against the Machine, very political band. And so the front cover, when I actually, before I even bought the album, I heard a song first of theirs, and I said, okay, I'm going to buy the album. Bought the album, and I was like, what the heck is this when I first saw the album cover? So if you guys have never seen it before, it's a photograph by a photographer by the name of Malcolm Brown. And it has a picture of this guy who's on fire. And it's an actual photograph of a guy that's on fire. And so the name of the guy that's on fire is a Buddhist monk by the name of, I'm going to try not to butcher his name, Thich Quang Duc. Okay? And so he's squatting, or he's like, kind of like in a lotus position, and he's completely on fire. So the photograph was taken right before the Vietnam War broke out. And one of the things that was happening in South Vietnam was that the leader, a guy by the name of Ngo Dinh Diem, who was a Catholic, was trying to make like Catholicism like the religion for all of South Vietnam. And so he was basically like pushing out Buddhists and, you know, saying that they couldn't worship the way they wanted to. So this monk protested by sitting in the middle of the street in Saigon. He covered himself with gasoline and then he lit himself on fire. So when you look at the image, it's pretty intense, you know. It's I mean, of course, the guy was protesting, which is what Rage Against the Machine is about, right? They're, you know, like a lot of their songs are all political and about protesting. And so I think that's one where the cover fits with the type of music. You know, it's really intense. It's definitely, you know, when you see it, you're like, what the hell, right? And it's the same thing that you say when you listen to music. You know, like, what the hell is this music? Because it's very, very different too. It's not really heavy metal, because it's got a little bit of like hip hop. It's got a bit of funk. It's got a little bit of, you know, different.
Yeah, it's a fusion.
It's a fusion.
Different types of rap styles.
And nobody sounds like them. So whenever you hear them, you know it's them because there's no one else that sounds like them. And so when I first saw the album cover, that just totally like, you know, blew my mind. And then I didn't know what it was at first until I did some more research and then I found out. And that guy got the Pulitzer Prize for taking the picture of that guy that he was smoking. And it's just amazing because the guy's just sitting there. He's on fire and he's just sitting there. Like if I was on fire, I'd be running around, like, you know, rolling around and stop, drop, and roll and everything. But the guy's just sitting there. Just,
To his beliefs.
yeah. Which is what they are.
They like to
Right?
make protests, that's for sure.
All right, second album cover. This one kind of has a bit of a backstory, but it's Santana. It's a 1970 album, second album of Santana is called Abraxas. So if you guys have never seen the cover, it's actually a painting by a German-French painter. I'm going to try to make sure I don't mess up his name, Mati Clarou. And the title will be Annunciation. So Santana was reading a magazine, and he came across this painting, and it was called the Annunciation because it's supposed to be this guy's version of the Annunciation in the Bible, when the angel appears to Mary and tells her that she's going to be carrying Jesus. But what makes the painting kind of, I guess you could say, like it gets your attention is that, first of all, Mary's black. She's naked. She's got like a fro, sort of, right? Where her private nether region is. There's a white dove, right? Which I guess represents peace. I guess you could say if you're a person that interprets art. There's this red person, that looks like a naked female, pointing to the sky. And she's got blue wings, so she's supposed to be the angel, right? That comes and announces to Mary that she's going to be carrying Jesus. And there's like all these psychedelic things going on all around it. So I saw this when I was a kid. My brother, when he came back from the Navy, much older than I am, he had a case, and he used to have cassettes in there. I don't know if you guys know what cassettes are, but they were these things we used to use back then to listen to music. And sometimes the cover art was on there. So I wasn't exposed really to records, but the cassettes. And I remember taking this one out. I never heard this guy sit down. I'm like, 7 or 8 years old. And I'm looking at this thing, and it's got this naked woman on there with this psychedelic stuff all around it. And I popped the tape in.
And they caught your attention.
And it caught my attention. That a naked lady on there. And then I was like trying to figure out like, what the hell is this? Like the music was just so like trippy. I mean, the art was so trippy. And I put the music in and I started listening to it, and I'm like, it's got like Black Magic Woman and Oye Como Va and all these great classics. And I mean, the music and the images and the cover and everything, it just, I blew my mind being a little kid, at 8 years old, I used to like Sesame Street. This stuff like completely blew my mind. And this guy by the name of Clarween also did art for other people too. One of them including Miles Davis, which also is another one of my favorite artists. And he did an album cover for an album that's called Bitches Brew, which if you guys ever look it up too, it's very psychedelic, kind of came out around that time period. It's jazz music. So this guy was doing a lot of art for a lot of different groups of people. Did Earth, Wind & Fire. Greg Allman also hired him to do an album cover for him. So I remember that. The reason I brought that cover up was because of that experience I had when I was a kid. Because it just, I don't want to say it like scarred me for life or like, messed me up. It really like, it blew my mind when I saw that. And it's actually Abraxas, and all of these are actual. It's kind of like what Mike was talking about, or Victor, where when you open the album, the actual record, see on the tape when I saw it was only the front of the album, but later on I started discovering that when you would open them up, there was more art on the back. And so both of these pieces are like bigger than what I saw, but they have more, there's more like added to it that you just look at it, you just we go on for hours just staring at all the different details and things in the album. I know you guys are familiar with that album, Abraxas. It's
older folks are.
Well, I guess I was a kid when I saw it.
And if I can just stop for a second.
Yeah.
Carlos Santana, one of the kindest, I had the privilege of meeting him backstage on more than one occasion. One of the kindest gentlemen you will ever cross paths with. Very spiritual, very humble. When I think about his life and everywhere he's been, Woodstock and everywhere, you would know it talking to him in person. He's real genuine, real sincere, and I just want to wish him well. Apparently, he had an incident yesterday. On stage somewhere, he collapsed and did exhaustion or something. But supposedly he's doing well, so we just want to wish Carlos Santana a speedy recovery and all the best.
Maybe because Susan is
Because
on
probably.
No, I'm just kidding.
We're running out of time because it's on Teddy's turn.
I
I know.
can't see from here like.
It says running out of
This
time.
is running out of time.
No, but the time at the top.
Oh.
Saying how many minutes? The action.
Can you see Susan?
No, I don't get that on mine.
It doesn't tell you the time?
No.
We'll just keep going. If we go off, just get back on.
All right. You sure?
A lot of
Yeah.
Santana albums are very artistic. A lot of his album covers are very cool and very out there.
That one was one to be exposed to, to be exposed to that one when I was a kid. It was just like, oh, crap.
I'm curious, when you listened to, I guess, like Montana?
Mm-hmm.
How did you listen? Were you in a room by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have headphones on?
I think so. I think I did. It's kind of hard to remember because I know my brother gave me a big boom box. It was one of those like the kind of back in the 80s. And he also gave me a Walkman, one of those big giant ones that So I don't remember if it was like on the boom box or on the Walkman, but I think I was wearing headphones, and I remember hearing it. And when you're listening to something on headphones, it's different than when you listen to it with speakers.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's kind of where I was going, because I remember you said like it blew your mind, and I feel like when I have music do that to me, it's usually I'm wearing. I just thought about it. It's like I'm usually wearing headphones, so it's like
Surrounding
all
you,
like
right?
just all straight going into my ears, all going into my head. It's not there's not any other noise or anything going on. I was just curious.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, great album. If anybody's out there who hasn't heard it, definitely listen to
I've
it.
definitely heard the music from that album, but I did not ever see the cover, so that was interesting.
And it fits. The music was kind of coming out at that time. It's Santana, who had kind of a Latin, big Latin influence and style, and then rock. And then when you look at the cover, it's got this kind of psychedelic kind of look to it and everything. It's almost like it just all went together really well. All right, next one. I picked Iron Maiden, which I'm wearing their shirt representing. They have tons of covers that I think are awesome, but I picked this one again because, again, it has like a personal sort of meaning to me. It's called Somewhere in Time, came out in 1986, and it was the first Iron Maiden album that I ever bought. So I bought it solely like just on the cover. And again, it was on the tape. But when you look at the actual album cover, it's got a lot of different details, a lot of Easter eggs from their past albums, and a lot of Easter eggs that are from other things too. So you could like spend hours looking at it. There's a bunch of little details. The guy that painted it, and he was the guy that did a lot of the album covers in the very beginning. His name was Derek Riggs. I think he did like maybe the first 7 or 8 album covers. And it's kind of like a futuristic sort of background. It's got Eddie, which is their mascot. On a side little note, his name was the Head. That's what they used to call him back when they first started, and they created this thing. It was a big head they used to put behind the drummer. They would spit out blood sometimes when they were performing. But the way they say head in England, they say it Ed, right?
He's Ed.
There you go, he's Ed, right? And so
There's no getting no Ed.
So the name Ed stuck, and so they decided to start calling him Eddie after that. And so that's where he got the name. And he's probably one of the most recognizable, figures in rock and heavy metal. I bet you anything like there's people out there that know him, but have never even heard a single Iron Maiden song, but they know, who that is. When they see it, it's that mascot from Iron Maiden.
And it says was he a mummy?
So they never said it, and I was reading about it.
Doesn't look like a mummy.
They never said he was a skeleton or a mummy or a zombie or what. I don't know what he's supposed to be, but he's just supposed to represent, something for the band. Their original manager had said, "Hey, we need something that's gonna be like a mascot that, that represents you guys." And still today, it's still selling merchandise. It's still recognizable all around the world. People know Eddie when they see him. And they even bring him out during the concerts. He's iconic now, I guess. Back in the day,
Really?
yeah, they used to have a guy who would dress up as Eddie on stilts, and he would come out, and he was just like, very theatrical. Very,
Yeah, that was the highlight of most Iron Maiden shows out. Like, Eddie made it.
Yeah. Exactly.
The crowd went wild.
It's kind of like the Fifth Beatle or
There you go.
the extra guy.
However many guys they have in there. All right. You got time for a few more?
I think so.
All right. It's turning into the Jose show here, right? Featuring the pop.
Nothing wrong with that.
And the next one is an album by a band called Slayer. So this is one of the first albums. This is the first album that I ever bought of theirs. Now, they had been around for a long time, and this album had already been out for a long time, but I was too scared to buy it because I thought I was going to go to hell if I bought it. cover, you're gonna know, like, it's like, holy crap. So the name of the name of the album is called Rain in Blood, R-E-I-G-N, right? Like the devil reigns over, right? In blood. They even have a song on there called Raining Blood, so it's spelled differently. So both are scary, right? Rain in blood, like the devil, and then raining blood, like you can imagine blood raining from the sky. So right there, that's already like devilish, you know? And so I finally got the balls to buy it, because I was like, well, I'm already going to go to hell after bad things I've already done. So if you guys have ever seen the album or never seen the front cover, they never said it, but it's definitely inspired by that painting that Victor brought up, which was Victor?
Hieronymus Bosch.
Hieronymus Bosch. Do you remember the name of it's called,
It's a triptych, and it's called something in the Garden of Eden, or Garden of, did you write it?
Yes, I wrote it here somewhere. The Garden of Earthly Delights.
Yes.
Ooh, by that I mean sinful things. Earthly delights. So it's a mixed media type of art. They used like, I guess he did like Xerox copies. And that, again, that's really how old this is, right? Xerox copies of different images, and then they put them on there. So there's like hope hats, which make that seem kind of sacrilegious. I didn't realize this until today when I was looking at it. There's like penises in there. There's like people in like a lake of blood. And the band actually didn't like it when they first saw it. They didn't like it. They thought it was a big mess. So it wasn't until one of the members took it home and one of their moms saw it. It's disgusting. And after the mom said that,
that's all.
Okay, that's all we need. That's all we needed. So they went ahead and put it out.
That's it. That's all it takes.
It had such a big impact, and this is actually like probably the best album. When you look at any albums, probably the most influential in thrash metal. They hired the guy to do the next two albums, the covers for the next two albums, and then a little bit later also he did another one of their albums in the 2000s. And that guy's name was Larry Carroll. Larry Carroll, he's the guy that did the album. But yeah, it's definitely, when you see it, I was like, oh my God, I need to start praying. I broke out the rosary, and I splashed myself in holy water. Of course, it sizzled, and but yeah, I love the music.
Still have the scars.
I still have bring me an old priest and a young priest. But anyhow, that was that one. So that one. All right. So now here's another one. This is one that I wanted to talk about, and it's something that you brought up about a little while ago.
Do you want to hold that thought for
Let's
a second?
bring it up,
While
right?
we,
I
have a feeling. I have a
Oh.
feeling. Oh,
I got a bone to pick with, no pun intended, with meatloaf.
Oh.
Oh.
Stay tuned.
Right.
Can't pick on meatloaf.
I don't see you as a headman. Okay? So, I know you're not familiar
Not really.
with a lot of these. Well, some of these. I'm sure you're with some of the ones I'm looking at.
80s hair band, but that's about it.
But yeah, their album was very influential for a lot of other. Because then after that, every heavy metal band wanted to have
Demons on there.
exactly like something like that, like the devil or something on there, and they always try to make it more extreme than the last. But that's about
When
it.
did they start? Like,
They started
were like in the
80s.
80s?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, in the early 80s. This is their third album, which is about 86. So I think maybe.
because by then, Chris was already a man. Alice Cooper was already a man.
In fact, those guys were already kind of like getting long in the teeth. Because they came out
Yeah,
in the 70s. But still, yeah, they were. They would still come out on MTV. I remember the 80s watching Alice Cooper and Kiss when they came out on Unmasked or whatever they call it. So that can make that. Show and tell, here we go.
All right, boys and girls, we are back. We're about to have our show and tell portion of our podcast. For those of you that are 80s. Those of you who
Well,
are
that's not me.
millennials and are not familiar with record albums or cassette tapes or CDs, we had some examples here.
So, I grew up in a family with a lot of mixed tastes musically, and from James Brown to Frank Sinatra and everything in between, which I guess is why my tastes are so eclectic. So, this album used to belong to my mom, and
Sure.
it did. Well, I can tell you, I don't know what the copyright
That would have
is.
been my album.
But this is Jim Nabors. Jim Nabors was an actor who also had a very good singing voice. And if you ever watch MTV or any of those old TV shows, there's a TV show called Gomer Pyle, and it's about this guy from Mayberry, Tennessee. And he actually got started, his character got started on Andy Griffith's show. He got a spin-off show of his own where he went to the military and joined the Marines. And it was all about how he kind of didn't fit in really well because he was kind of an all shucks hillbilly kind of guy, and of course the Marines are very disciplined, so he had to kind of fit in. It was a comedy, but Jim Nabors, and this actually during the making of the show, there was times where he would sing, and he had this all shucks kind of mentality, blah blah blah, and sounded like a country boy. But then when he started singing, it was like, who is that? It was a completely different voice. So this is one of his solo albums. And I think the picture on the back is more representative of the kind of character he was when he was on the show. Kind of and even today people say, what a Gomer you are. They're referring to him. If you saw a Full Metal Jacket, the drill sergeant refers to Lawrence as the Gomer Pyle, and because he's not a good fit. So this is the guy they're referring to. And this was probably back from the 1970s. This is what an album actually used to look like. Okay, this is from the 70s, and as you can see, it's kind of, they used to call it vinyl because that's kind of what they are. It's flexible. Now, the reason I'm showing you why it's flexible is because this is from the 1970s. There's something else to show you that was even before that. Again, this probably belonged to my grandmother. This is another example of a record, an album. And this one is not very bendable. It's quite thick. You could hurt somebody if you threw this at somebody. It's more like a dish.
Can I hold it? Because against your shirt, it's kind of hard to see the why.
And it says something that I don't know the name of the singer, but it says Plantation Lullaby is the name of the song. RCA Victor.
Tuck me to sleep.
They named you after the
It
record.
probably has a year on there.
It does. It's 1903.
1903.
Tuck me to sleep in my old Tucky home. And the singer is Vernon Dalhart and Criterion Trio. And then this side, this side is Plantation Lullaby. And the singers are Charles Hart and Elliot Shaw.
Put it on, play it. You know you got a record player.
The bird, the turntable with the bird. It's a little soiled, it's dirty, it's old, but you say it hasn't been played quite some time. But it has a serial number on it, and I don't know if I could take it to a record store, probably get a good, if it's a collectible, it could be. But I've got a number of records like this. Again, came from my grandmother. Some are chipped, some are in this great condition. But these are what albums used to look like, okay? And considering and I don't know how old the people are who watch our show, this could be like your great-great-grandparents' jam when they were young. So this is what an album used to look like back in the turn of the century. Not this century, the last century. So yes, a little bit of a history lesson there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I've got a whole bunch that might be back in the 1800s even, but I'll have to look back and see what I have there. Yeah.
So when you were a kid listening to those albums, you still remember what the songs were about?
Oh man, I snuck into his concert Yeah. Came to the concert and went under the fence and then
You're wearing your knickerbockers.
my knickerbockers and my
Your
sandals.
newsboy hat.
Camel shirt, hat.
Birdcage Theater.
Yeah. Yes. And Laurel and Hardy opened for them. Yes.
How many days did it get you
At the
my
Muppets
stagecoach
Theater.
to the show?
Yeah.
4 days.
4
Oh
days.
my God.
4 days on
4 days. It
the
was
Chisholm Trail.
Chisholm Trail.
Great, man.
Wow. I
Wow.
parked my horse and I got off and watched the show. Yeah. I sat on a hay bale and there it is.
And that concludes our show and tell portion. Back to Jose.
Well, I was going to say something before we move on, because
Sure.
this is something I said last time, and you corrected me. So I wanted to bring
Was I
this
wrong?
up.
Oh,
No, yeah, I guess you were wrong. As
I
always.
was wrong.
As always.
So
So
he's had a whole week to do this.
now I want to see what y'all think about this. 'Cause I wanted to bring
Prove
this
her
up.
wrong.
I want to bring
We'll
this
call her
up.
out in front of everybody.
It's a new segment called Prove Her
This
Wrong.
is our viewers.
Our fact checker here.
But what is an album? So I mentioned something about an album, and you said, "Oh, well, people don't have those anymore." But what is an album? Because I know when I look up music on, say, like,
So,
if they say album, it'll say album on it, right? And so
Yes.
to me, an album is the collection of songs,
yes.
not a record, because that to me is a record. And when I say album, you said, "Oh, people still don't have those to play a record player on it." I was like, no, I'm not talking about the album.
Yeah.
Like a cassette is a cassette, a CD is a CD, right? And then this is a record, right?
A
But
record
an
album.
album
yeah.
is a collection of songs, right?
We just don't say CD album. We don't say cassette album. We say record album. But in reality, the whole collection is considered an album, just like a photo album is a collection of photos.
Okay, all right.
You're correct, sir.
A record is a document.
Tomato. To me, an album is that thing right there. But I hear what you're saying, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you look up music, it still says, like, whatever platform you use or app, it's going to say album, right?
Yeah, if you go
It
to
says album,
the
right?
if you go to the iTunes store,
This
you
is
look for
album.
an album. Yes.
Correct. Even though you're not sticking that big vinyl to the
Album as opposed to a single, which is just
one song.
one.
Okay, so I wanted to just bring that up, bring something up controversial.
Ooh, yes. we love
Tension.
that.
Among pod squatters, But now peace has been made.
The Pod Squad squabble.
Has been made
By
since,
the peacemaker.
since I know I was right. So, all right. So here's a bone I gotta pick. All right. So the next album is by an artist by the name of Meat Loaf. Okay, Meat Loaf. So Mr. Loaf came out with an album in 1977 called Bat Out of Hell, since he brought up Bat Out of Hell a while ago. Okay. By the way, he didn't write any of the songs. He does perform, but the guy who wrote the songs, his name is Jim Stein.
Jim Stein.
So Simon, exactly. So if you look at the album cover, it's got Meatloaf in big letters. It says "Bat Out of Hell," and then it says
Sounds like.
exactly. So that kind of caused like I didn't know about this, but I guess it caused kind of like
Controversy,
or tension between them. Yeah, animosity, because he wrote the songs and he wanted credit like at the beginning, like Jim Stein presents Meatloaf or whatever.
Did he write the songs that the whole world sings?
Well, only the ones that Meatloaf sings. But see, here's the thing, man. Again, let me go back to that story of that cassette case that my brother had. So I'm looking through these cassette cases, and I looked at this one, and I look at the cover, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is like epic, right? It's got a guy. It's a cemetery. He's shooting out like in a rocket, but he's on a motorcycle. This beefed up motorcycle. It's got like the head of like the skull of a horse with red eyes. He's all like Conan the Barbarian, but he's like, all the way back because it's like the force of the motorcycle sticking him out, There's this big bat with these giant wings, like on top of a mausoleum. I mean, it's like epic. And so I put in the tape, and I'm expecting the music to sound epic like that. And it doesn't, it's all like a bunch of like piano, and they're singing, and it's kind of like a
love song.
like opera and all this, and it's like,
Actually, it was referred to. That album was shopped around so much and rejected so many times before they actually got a deal. But it was referred to as theater music by a lot of record executives. This is theater music because they all had a start in theater.
Yeah.
Meatloaf, Jim Steinman, they were all they all had theater backgrounds, musicals, and that's what that music was referred to before it became a big hit. They actually proved the critics wrong or the record executives wrong, so obviously it became the biggest rock album of all time. But I have a whole documentary that I watched.
Really?
Yeah, so
Wow.
I can tell you quite a bit about the, and I can't tell you the name of the original female singer on the album that sings with him. It's not the girl you see on the music video.
Oh, wow.
Carla DeVito, those are two different people.
Oh, wow.
And Carla DeVito actually lip synced in the music video over the other girl's parts.
Wow.
It was all political. I guess,
Yeah,
back
yeah.
then. Carla DeVito had more of a stage presence than the actual singer.
Okay.
They could both sing. They were
Yeah.
good. She could sing. She could hold her own in concert.
Yeah.
But she's not the one on the recording.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonder
So
that.
you know, and they talk about that in the documentary. They talk to the original. I can't remember her name right now. The original singer. She goes, "I sang on the album. I wasn't on the tour. I wasn't in the video, but that's okay." You know? It bothered her, I guess, for a while, but she's okay with it now. It just went back and forth and all that. But anyway, so yeah, sorry to take you away from
No, it's okay.
but that but Jim Steinman was the one that wrote Victor's part.
It's good. No, he's on.
Okay.
But Jim Steinman wrote most of the music, and if not all of the things in songs, and you know, Meatloaf. He was actually Meatloaf was not. Was supposed to be the name of the group.
Oh,
Somehow it just became him.
Him.
Oh.
You know,
Yeah.
originally it was supposed to be the name of the group.
Yeah.
So, but everybody calls him Meat. Or Mr. Lowe.
Mr. Lowe.
Reminded me of a story one time I was working backstage and we're supposed to throw these big old giant balls out into the stage during Pitbull's performance. Well, it wasn't his performance, it was Enrique Iglesias' performance. Pitbull was going to join him on stage for the finale or something. So there's this big old giant, kind of like balloon beach volley things, and huge. I'm carrying one, another stagehand's carrying one, another stagehand's carrying one. They would sit in the corner backstage, dusty, dirty. There was somebody that spilled water. They were wet, kind of muddy and murky a little bit. They had to pick these things up and carry them backstage to get to the front of the stage and throw them out on cue. They're going to tell us when to throw them out. So we're walking through there, and guess who happens to come out of his dressing room and gets right in front of me?
Oh.
Pitbull.
Oh.
Yeah, he's wearing a white blazer. He looks like $1 million, like he just got out of the shower. He had already performed, but you know, Enrique Iglesias is doing his bit, but he went back to his dressing room, got freshened up, and came back up. And I'm like, I don't want to roll this dirty old ball on this dude's back, but he keeps stopping, and I got to get out there, and I'm sitting there. So I say, "Excuse me, Mr. Pitt. Excuse me, Mr. Bull. Excuse me, Mr. Pitbull." I'm sitting there in my mind. How do I address this man? You know. Finally, I said, "Hey, bro, you mind? I gotta get by. I gotta catch up to those other two guys at the balls." And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure. Pásale in Spanish." Yeah, go ahead. So he moved off to the side. Yeah. So the same thing. Meat, Mr. Meat, Mr. Love, Mr. Pitt, Mr. Pitt. So yeah. So that's my story. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Oh, really?
That's a great story.
Now you want to get them dirty, man. I'm like, man, out of the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah.
That dirty ball out of my
Yeah. I'm literally, I got that close to him. He stopped right in front of me. I'm like, "Ah!"
Well, maybe not. Stick it out here over here.
Hey!
Hey, Belinda, get your mind out of the gutter.
Put the brakes on.
Jeez.
I almost got his white blazer off. full of dirt.
Oh, man.
Go on.
Okay, you're talking. Okay, so you have a bone to pick.
You guys jump in whenever you want.
Lose your train of thought. Sorry.
No. When you were saying that, it said that the album is like one of the biggest selling albums of all time. Like I don't even think I've ever heard any of it. Well, I listened to the tape. I can't tell you like any songs I've heard because I kept forwarding through a lot of them. Because I was waiting for like the good music to kick in, and I never did.
What are you talking about?
Horrible.
We have a bone to pick.
43 million copies sold.
Just because you listen to that.
4 times.
I fast forward through that shit. I changed it down.
I was like, stinks. This meatloaf stinks.
The one time Izzy made the album, but all he did was goggle. But it was a big hit in Britain.
I disagree. I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, what the heck?
It was like a rock opera. It was like a whole.
Yeah.
But I was expecting it to be like
Rock
rubber,
theater.
like,
Yeah.
like, oh my god, and like, like, what's going on?
It wasn't satanic enough.
It wasn't.
You're right. The album cover did not match the.
Yes.
It's going to be like kind of heavy and aggressive and all. So it's kind of a letdown. So, and I know Mr. Lowe.
I have a similar story, but in reverse.
You had an urge to get in a chorus line.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, what you're saying.
No, I was just saying I have a similar story, a concert experience one time, but I guess it's the same thing. Smashing Pumpkins, though, I mean, great show.
Mm-hmm.
The guys are like excellent musicians, real tight. You listen to some bands live and they sound nothing like the record. They're a little sloppy, the things just don't sound right, you know. Obviously, well produced in the studio. So to find a band that can play live and sound almost exactly like the record, like Rush or some other, Smashing Pumpkins is one of them. Mm-hmm. So I love their music, but I remember watching their show one time and oh my God, so all the imagery on the screens that they put in their show was just all dark and satanic. And to me, it's like, it doesn't match their music. It's like, who put this video presentation together? Because it's not who it does. To me, it didn't fit. It was just different. It's kind of like what you're saying about the album cover. Yeah. But, you know, like if I ever hit the lotto, I would hire Smashing Pumpkins to play my backyard barbecue, birthday party, but I would lose all that. I don't want to see any of that. Put some psychedelic stuff up there or something. Yeah, but, yeah. That's how it's time to get lost. Anyway, it's
All right. So, let's see. All right.
Oh, you were finishing up.
All right, I'm finishing up.
Still
with
digging on
Meatloaf.
Somebody won't let him finish up.
I ain't gonna let him pick on Meatloaf without me jumping in there. Shoot.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So disappointed. All right. The next one.
We're gonna go on a road trip to the coast, and that Meatloaf CD is gonna get stuck in the stereo. They're gonna listen to it.
Right, jump out that car.
Let me out.
All right, the next one, only because the story behind the name of the album is kind of funny, or not funny, but it's just interesting, is Black Sabbath's Paranoid. So that's their second album. Has a lot of good hits like War Pigs, Iron Maiden, and of course Paranoid. It's the name of the album, right? So, by the way, that's. Okay. I thought it was your phone. And I was like, hey man, who's talking to me?
Looking at his wrist.
Trying to tell me to cut it short already. So the album was titled War Pigs, but they thought it was too controversial because it was during the Vietnam War. And the song itself is kind of like it's like commentary about the war and how war is like fought mostly by rich people, but the poor people are the ones that go off to fight and die. And so when they decided to change the name of the album, they had already done photography for the cover art, which has a guy like with a sword and a shield. And I didn't get it till today. I was like, they said he was dressed like a pig, and I'm like, but he's not wearing like a diaper nose or like ears or anything. Until I realized today when I was looking at it, I was like, wait a minute, he's dressed like a cop, which is what people called cop right back then, called pigs, right? But I really didn't think about that till today. It's like I just saw it, I was like, what is this? That's like kind of like a soldier or something. Well, anyhow, by then it was too late, so they had already put the record out with that image on it. So it was supposed to be called War Pigs, but then it changed to Paranoid, and that's why the image doesn't fit the
Seems like he's in like riot gear or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And but he's got a sword, which nobody like. I don't know.
Nobody would use.
Cops don't use. Yeah, they're not gonna be like chopping people down in the streets and stuff. Let's see. Next one, Diary of a Madman, Ozzy Osbourne. The second album, 1981. One of my favorite albums because it has one of my favorite guitarists. The inspiration for me, his name is Randy Rhoads. It was the last album that he recorded with Ozzy. Because Randy died in a tragic plane accident. You know, Steve Ray Vaughan and a lot of other great musicians. It's kind of like a bit of a tribute, sort of, to like B movies, because even the name Diary of a Madman is kind of really sort of like the font of like the old B movies. I think the name was also taken from an old Vincent Price horror movie. And Ozzy's on the front, like with blood, and sort of like looking kind of scary, leaving like an upside down cross in the back. He's like in a dungeon or some sort of like castle. And there's a kid in the background.
That's what I was looking at. It's like, what is he
reading like
out
out of
there?
a black book. It looks like some kind of a witchcraft book. Well, it's his son. That's one of his kids.
That Jack?
No, he's another son that he has by the name of Lewis.
Huh.
Yeah, because he didn't have Jack till I think a little bit, maybe around this time or a little bit later after this. Ozzy has a whole bunch of kids. I didn't even know he had.
Yeah, there's actually an older daughter. I think her name was Amy. That she chose not to be part of
that show.
That
reality show, and nobody knows who she is.
Yeah.
Everybody else got famous.
So she can go anywhere she wants.
That's right.
Nobody's gonna bug her.
Freedom for
She
her.
can go to Walmart.
Nobody knows who she is.
Nobody
I know she's going to Walmart.
She can go to Starbucks.
Starbucks.
And nobody will bother her.
Who she is. Ozzy's my dog. That was a really horrible English accent there. Ozzy's my dog. That's so funny. Ozzy's my dog.
No, he's not. We're the Dollar Tree. No, you're not.
I didn't
Put
see
the
you on
British
that show.
accent now.
All right. Last few. Okay, AC/DC Back in Black, 1980. This was their 7th album. They were already pretty big at the time. But the reason this album's kind of big, and I think also because of the cover, is that it was the first album they did after their lead singer Bon Scott had died. He died.
The first album with Brian Johnson was the lead vocalist.
And so a lot of people were pretty much saying, like, before they came out with this album, they're over, they're done. Because Bon Scott was dead. 7 albums in, you know, they've already gained their popularity and everything, and they're saying, you know, you can't keep going on with a different singer, right? And most bands, they fail whenever they try to replace their singers. But I think it's the most successful album that they ever came out with. 50 million copies sold, 25 times on platinum, and it's got like a ton of hits. Which one of the songs on the album got onto something, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. Back in the 80s, they had something called the Filthy 15, which this group called the PMRC was a group of like women, political women. They were like mostly like wives of like these political guys. And they picked on songs that were supposed to be like offensive, satanic.
There was a satanic panic going on.
Was it
that was him.
Tipper Gore.
Yes.
Tipper Gore was
Yes.
on there.
That did that. She had a whole crusade against
Yes.
that type of music.
Put advisory labels on the album and stuff like that.
What's the name? Rock of Ages? Is that the name of the movie? Or not? Well, yeah, it's a movie too.
I think there's a movie called
The
Rock of Ages.
Plague? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
that one. That's based on the whole like satanic panic game, and the
okay.
women in the group with
That
Catherine
Zeta
Zeta.
show too, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a.
I think back of when all of that was going on, what, 30 years ago, 25, whatever it was. And I remember they were targeting Two Live Crew in particular. You remember that?
Mhm.
And I listened to music that's out now. I was like, man, Two Live Crew was mellow compared to what they're putting out now. You know?
Yeah.
I was like, but, sign of time, yeah. Things change, yeah.
So their album, that song, well, I didn't even say the name of the song, should I say it? I mean, it's not a dirty, it's called Let Me Put My Love Into You. So I don't know really what the song is about. I don't know whether they thought it was offensive, but that's the name of the song. I know what it means, but so.
Sound like the song I'm forgetting Sarah Marshall.
I'm gonna admit this. I had an English class, and we had nuns in my school. And she was my English teacher. And the assignment was to write poems. So I plagiarized an AC/DC song. It was off of their Import album called Love Song. And if you listen to the song, you won't know that it's AC/DC. It's so mellow. It's a love song. Bon Scott sings it. Not till the very end. I've had people, I played it for people and say, can you guess who this is? And they're like, not till the very end till he starts like wailing a little bit. And you go, oh, wait a minute. I know that voice. You know, but I plagiarized that whole song. But yeah, but her thing was, no, not that one. Love song. But her thing was when she read it, you know, I even had some girl like copy it. Like,
Stop plagiarizing AC/DC.
no. They didn't catch me. I got away with it. I got away with
I think it wasn't.
it. But she wrote on my paper, very suggestive. But none. Well, yeah, it takes it easy.
10 Hail Marys.
I didn't plagiarize it and put my love in the UK. Yeah, but if you listen to the song, you'll know. It's called Love Song.
Gotcha.
I would never plagiarize anybody. I was 17 years
Not
old.
anymore.
I didn't know any better. I mean, I knew better. I didn't care. You know? My moral compass is a little bit more in tune now. Back then, I didn't give a damn.
SNL has a sketch like that. When Adam Sandler and they were on, and they're doing how the teacher, they're turning in their poems, and they're all like, lyrics from like that.
Hey, that's what I did. You know, class clown wasn't prepared, showed up. Oh, I haven't done shit. Let me start right like I do for our podcast, bro. I just did those notes on my last break. I like, can I borrow a pen? What's your piece of paper? That's your real pen.
Yeah.
He brings a notebook. He brings a laptop.
Oh, man.
He brings albums. I showed up at the end.
Trapper Keeper.
I still have one of those. Yeah, no. Yeah, mine got a dude on a surfboard on it. I still have one.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna bring it next week.
Do that, please.
I'm gonna come prepared. I say that every week.
I didn't even get to the cover.
Go ahead.
Bring it home.
All right, so black cover, very simple. AC/DC, black and black. That's what I like about it. Very simple, nothing fancy. They said they chose black cover because they were mourning, for Bon Scott, right? So, but the album itself, the songs, some of them are like, even the first one, Hells Bells, starts out real dark, kind of puts you in the mood. The album cover just puts you in the mood. Other bands, Metallica, of course, they have a black album, probably copied it from them, and then Spinal Tap, which they did an album called Smell This Love, which they also probably, it was all just black, not even
I believe Back in Black came out in 1980.
So they were the first probably.
When because we got about 16 years old. I was there at that concert.
Yeah.
I was there, bro. I don't have the ticket stub or a t-shirt to prove it, but I was there.
An all black cover as opposed to an all white cover by the Beatles.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about that white out.
Oh, there we go.
Go ahead, finish up. I'm sorry.
All right, and the last one I have, I decided to go out of left field.
Oh.
So I want to do it's an album by a jazz musician by the name of John Coltrane. It's called Blue Train. Came out in 1958. So he did an album for a record company called Blue Note. It's the only album that he did for that record company. Blue Note is like a real famous jazz company, or a company that used to do albums for like a lot of jazz musicians. And I didn't get into this music till way later. It was like in the 90s or so. There's a movie called Singles. I don't know if you guys ever seen that with Matt Dillon. He comes out in it. And it takes called Singles. It's supposed to be like it takes place like in Seattle. It's supposed to be during that grunge era. And even like guys from Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains come out. And they don't just come out performing, some of them come out as characters in the movie. So it was during that grunge era. And but there's a scene where the music to the whole movie is all like grunge, 90s type. But there's a scene where the guy is depressed because the girl didn't get into some sort of tiff or whatever. It's kind of like a romantic comedy. And he's depressed, and they're playing the song, and it really got me into it. So I wanted to find out who this guy was, and it's the guy with the name of John Coltrane. It's all saxophone, it's all instrumental. But when you look at the cover of the album, it's just him, and he's there. And the way they did it is sort of like in black and blue, so it's almost like a painting. And he's there, kind of like he's like thinking. Like it's very, I don't know. There's something about it, just like the way he's sitting there. You kind of see part of the saxophone. He's kind of like it's almost like he's like meditating or philosophizing or something. And when you listen to the music, not a lot of people like jazz music, but it did something to me, like emotionally, I don't know, spiritually. I don't get all, it's like, like all spiritual and everything, but it did do something to me, like spiritually, it moved me inside of it in a way that, a lot of music does, but this is not the kind of music that I was really into at the time. And ever since then, I listened to like more jazz music like that, like Miles Davis and all that. I kind of understand how like a lot of people like that kind of music. So that's the one I want to add. Blue Train, and even the image of it is kind of blue, right? Kind of like a bluish.
Instead
color.
of a black and white, it's like a blue and black.
And even the music is kind of based on blues music. When you listen to it, it doesn't sound like blues music. It's jazz. It's very, very different. He was doing a lot of things at the time that were very different in jazz music. So he's considered one of like the greats of that genre. All right, I know. We're gonna go like half the damn show. All right, that's it.
We're just about out of time.
I'm about halfway through my list now. So, chapter 18.
Now we're gonna visit the 70s. That was the 60s number. That was good. That was a good array.
Then I like it when all you guys are like contributing. So that's why I try to pick some of these that are maybe a little controversial or spark conversation.
Well, we have.
want to hear from their opinions too.
Yes, please tell us.
Please tell
Do
us.
you agree with Jose's choices?
Do you agree that he's wrong about meatloaf?
You want to pick a bone with him?
Is this an album or a record?
Yeah.
We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We still got 3 lists to go, so. Hey.
Made up a lot of time.
That's okay.
You can edit me down to 5 minutes.
But you wanted to.
Like normal? Like usual?
So, I did everybody else's.
I used up everybody's time on
Serious, and
You only run through 2 of us, right?
You
I only have one.
only have one?
Well, he has taken one, and Mike's taken one.
Oh,
I haven't said anything yet.
Mike hasn't done.
Yes, he did.
Not his list, no.
What did I tell you? I can
Oh,
take-
maybe he talked about it,
I
but
may
he
have
did,
mentioned one.
Yeah.
Maybe that wasn't one of his choices.
you can mention it anyway.
Yeah, just do it anyway.
And you can mention mine too.
I only have one favorite album, Susan. Susan, what's that one album? In Sync?
Deep sea.
New Kids?
Yes.
Another one?
That's the one I was telling you about. This one.
This patented record is sold by Thomas A. Edison Incorporated, Orange, New Jersey.
What years on that one? 1885?
It doesn't say on here.
What's this? 77.
It's got a picture of him on there. Right? It's got a little bit of.
Wow. I'm gonna take a picture of it, maybe click on. I don't know if they can capture that.
Yeah, right.
Johnson Jazz Blues Foxtrot
What is it?
by Frisco Jazz Band.
But it's spelled with S, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's a-
that's what I'm looking for. It. Yeah, that is a photograph. I'm looking for it.
Well, there's numbers right here on the edges. So.
On the edge
Hey,
too?
you should take it on that. What's that show on PBS where they take?
Yeah.
Anti-Roadshow. The Anti-Roadshow. There you go.
Umbrellas to Mend, One Step. Frisco Jazz Band.
I've never actually seen those before at all.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Yeah, something that I don't see like it.
It had a serial number until Belinda rubbed it off.
Let me clean this off. Give me a scrub.
Look at the stain right here.
Just clean that.
Say your boss
So do you
always
have-
had you-
Any covers for those things?
Yes, but they're like paper when they're like falling apart. Now that one, no, but some of these I do. Yeah.
You can throw it in. Conversation.
No, it might be one of those like rare ones, like only one left in the world.
Yeah.
Like some guy was watching a video and he said that there were like only there were these poems and he was trying to collect that.
So when you sell that thing for $10 million,
Kiss.
can
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
can I be a pen picker, your house sitter?
For 10 million. I don't know about 10 million.
He tried to kill Nikola Tesla with it, but because it's so big and thick, somebody missed it.
It's got some of Nikola Tesla's blood.
Yeah,
on it.
you,
He saw the crime of what happened to Nikola Tesla. For facts.
see, Susan, you need to come and enjoy all this kind of cool stuff we're doing.
Yeah.
Is he wearing white gloves?
I know, right? I'm trying to grab it just by the edge.
Trying to see.
Oh, there you go.
It's made of. It's gonna be plastic.
I don't know. Some kind of carbon something.
Didn't they used to be wax at one point? Although that can't be wax.
No, this definitely is a wax.
'Cause that's a term that you write like wax.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, stacks of wax.
There you go.
It's got some numbers into it, but. So,
Usually vinyl, 33 RPM, 1900. I don't
Yeah.
think so. No, that's not wrong. 1924 were made, and with which they were coated were also various. Oh. Shellac eventually became the commonest material. That is not shellac. Generally, 78s are made of brittle material, which uses a shellac resin. Or why?
Well, the Antique Roadshow. Here we go.
but there's more.
There's more? Oh, yes.
This is her Albert.
Wow.
This is a reel to reel.
Wow.
I remember seeing those.
This is
Never
back
had
in the
one
day.
myself, but yeah.
Reel to reel tape. Before cassettes, they had something called reel to reel.
Yeah, let's hold it where it's speaking, like-
Let's say on here, Watergate.
The missing was 17 minutes.
There it is.
I see.
Your grandma had it this whole time.
My grandma.
That's it.
Yeah.
She was really an FBI agent.
Yeah, Grand Secretary for Richard Nixon.
Or about verse 9.
Here, hide this.
Yeah.
Take it home in your face.
The Trolley Song, My Heart Belongs to Daddy, The Happening, Bud, Love So Fine, The Love Nest, Abanda, With a Little Help from My Friends, Fleabag, Cowboys and Indians, and Carmen. Whoa.
So that reminds me, okay, I remember Real to Reels for music, but I also remember the projectors where you wanted to watch film in class and you had to like loop it through the whole through the whole projector thing.
I used to do that.
Yeah.
The projectionist in high
Yeah,
school.
well, me too. And we used to will that into the classroom. I got in a fight suspended for 3 days over that. So normally I was the guy that set it all up. You know, I gotta, even back then I was like drawn to stuff like that, cameras and video and all that. That's what I do now for a living. So, you know, I was one of the guys that always volunteered to reel in the projector and loop the film through it. You know, it did a little curve in here like a fan belt in a car, you know, you had to go around certain things, you know. And it wasn't just me, there were a couple of people that, you know, sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen, you know, whatever. And there used to be this guy, he was kind of a meathead, athletic type. He wasn't an athlete, he was on the football team, he was a big guy. But he wasn't the brightest bull with the pack, right? And so I'm setting it up, the class is waiting, and for some reason he just had to get his big old fat fingers in there to help me. And I just got kind of like irritated with him, so I sat down and said, okay, you finish it, you know, you do it. And he couldn't finish, he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I had to get back up under my desk and show him what to do, got it working. And this is where I was wrong. I made a snide remark, called him a dummy or something. And he got mad. Yeah. And I'm sitting at my desk and making bam, he knocks me. And we're fighting in the classroom. We both get sent to the principal's office, and next thing you know, we're both suspended, you know. So I'm walking home from school, and who cools up next to me? Him in his truck. No. And now he's all apologetic. I'm sorry, man. You embarrassed me, blah, blah, blah. He gives me a ride home. Yeah. I get home, my mom's there. Okay. I think she called me Muhammad Ali or something. Okay, Muhammad Ali. What happened? Because I already called her and I was suspended, but she didn't have a car to come get me, so they sent me walking, you know? But yeah, over one of those real to real, not real to real, projection shit. That's what they brought that memory back. Sorry. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about today. But yeah, it's one of those stories. Funny with jogs of memory, right?
Yeah.
It does. I mean, so we would show movies to the whole campus.